Hey everyone, this is Jennifer from Planting Science. We're about to move into our fall of 2023 session, which is a big session for our team because this is a research session for us. So we have a lot of new people joining us. And as we've prepared, we've been working with our HubZero team to add in some new features and improve some usability. So we thought, what a great time to redo our tutorials and so that we can showcase all the new things that we've added, but also bring everyone kind of back up to speed on how to use the website. So if you're new, these tutorials will hopefully help you get oriented. If you are returning to us from previous sessions, you will probably see some things that you may not have seen before. So thank you for joining us. This is the second video. The first one, we explored the user dashboard and all of the features that it has. If you're looking for that, go back to YouTube. It should be number one. In this case, we're going to be talking about the group page, and so this is like kind of the main page for a given class that's working with planting science during a session. Um, I will say that during this particular video, I'm going to be talking about how you make changes to your overview and how you deal with some of the things here in this side menu, but I will not be going deep into how to recruit mentors or how to set up projects and add students. Those are all things that I will cover in a separate video, especially because those tend to be things that people have specific questions about, and that will let me go into more detail. So if that's what you're looking for, you might want to hop over to YouTube, look for those videos instead. They will all be in the same playlist. But for now, we're going to talk about how to make the best use of your overview page and how to make sure that or of your group page, and what different roles can see on it. So, and I'm going to start there because as you'll notice, I'm logged in as my amazing teacher. So I'm seeing this right now. We're all seeing this through a teacher's eyes. It will look the same through the liaison's eyes. So the liaison is a scientist that applies to be part of our master plant science team. They're assigned to the teacher to help moderate the conversations between scientists and students. So they're really sort of the teacher's right hand man. And because of that, on the group, they have the same group manager status. If you are a mentor with this group, you will not see that. You will not have access to be able to make those changes. So mentors are just members of the group. They are not managers. So they can participate in the group, but they can't actually make changes to it. So it's just a matter of permissions. But everything that you're going to see here, and you'll notice this is already a big change. Our overview before used to just be like a long list of facts. It never had any kind of color to it or organization to it. So we've reorganized it. We've created these boxes that have different types of information in it, and all of the information when you first land at your group page will have come from the application that the teacher submitted leading up to the session. So it will be pre-populated with that information, but that doesn't mean that it can't change. And I'm going to show you how to change that. There's also a box up here that is not showing right now because currently it's empty. So we're going to go right into that. We're going to go over here to our group manager dropdown and click on edit group settings. And that's going to bring us to this page here. So as you can see here, the title is here. Please don't change that. If you change that, that really messes up our stuff. The alias will not be changed regardless, but please, resist the urge to mess with that. You can change your name if you feel it, especially if, like, say you get married or your life circumstances change and you're using a different last name or whatever. You're welcome to change that. We ask that you not change the high school. It's really not going to make that much of a difference if you do, but it's, confusing for people that signed on, assuming your information when they signed on was accurate. This public description is where you can put information in that top box. So just as a matter of demonstration, I'm going to put, this is a test group recruiting. And I'm going to leave it at that. But you can format this. You can add bold. You can underline. You can italicize. You can also add bullets in. You can see you can add numbered bullets. This is new. This was never available to us before. So this is a nice feature. The other thing that you can do if you're kind of savvy with HTML is you can switch to the source code and you can add in div tags that apply like a background color or color the text. You can also add in images here if you want to. So there's just a lot of flexibility. That said, all of it's strictly optional. You don't have to put anything in this box unless you want to. it's just nice because it gives you a place to just put in your own message to your mentors and your liaison as a teacher, or just broadcast something, just a nice welcome message or something like that. The one thing I will say though is that I want to caution anybody from putting like a huge block of text in here, because that could make your whole page look kind of weird. So just kind of save it, go back and forth, see how it looks, if you decide to do that. The private description actually doesn't show in our case. Just a caveat here: the whole platform that we use is HubZero's platform, which is a collaborative platform for scientists that are working on research together. So some of these fields are kind of vestigial. They would be useful in that context. They're just not useful to us. So we don't use private description. But teachers, if your start date changes, you can always click here to change it and tell us an updated version of when you think your students are going to come online. And I want to make that clear. It's really helpful to us if the start date that you have here is when you expect students to come online and introduce themselves. That helps the liaison know, okay, it's that date that I have to have the mentors in place. Helps the mentors know that, okay, this is when we're getting started. So that's what your start date should be, not the date that you're starting teaching the content in general. So maybe that's helpful. The end date should be about when you expect the students to be wrapping up. So if you have a hard stop at a point, you want to make sure you put that in there so that they know to expect the students will no longer be posting after that point. That said, mentors will typically post as long as students are posting. So they're not going to look at that and just stop even if the students are still posting. But it's still good to let them know that what your plans are so that they can budget their time accordingly. Please don't change your investigation theme. It won't make any difference if you do. It'll just confuse people. Your session should be set correctly. Don't change your session. Hopefully your kids don't change age mid-session. That would be weird. Your outcomes field, again, has the same capabilities that the field that we mentioned up above does. So you can, instead of having this as a big long paragraph, you could say students should, and then you can make this into bullet points like that, which just looks a little nicer. And we really encourage you to be specific with this, because mentors do look at this to kind of get an idea of what your priorities are. Any unit has a lot of different information that could be more important than others. So it's nice to give your mentors a heads up on what things are really important for the students to understand. Time away. This is one that often gets overlooked, but it is so important. If you know your kids, if you're a teacher and you know that your kids will not be posting because of a fall break, because they're out for a band trip or something like that, it's really helpful if you include that here so that our mentors don't panic because nobody's posting. So please make sure. So like in this case, maybe I'd put in Thanksgiving break, update that. And this can change too. So if the band trip gets canceled, you can always take it out of there. This tells us whether your class is meeting every day or like every other day on a block schedule. If you want to even be more thorough in there and explain which days of the week you can expect them to meet, if that's appropriate, you can do that. You can also change how this is written. Like say you want this to say ninth grade life science. The only thing about this is this looks like a very large field, and the actual place where it's reported is pretty small. So even though this has the same capabilities as up here, you don't want to be real crazy with this one. It'll make that box look really long. The rest of these show up in the info fields with when someone looks at the overview specifically. So you can change them if you want to. It's a good place to just provide some more information, but it won't appear on that overview page. It'll only appear when they actually click on it. And then down here, if you want to add a logo, a lot of teachers will put in the maybe the mascot for their school or something like that. This is not required. But if you want to do that, you're going to click here, and this file thing is going to follow you up and down the page. So you can click here. Let's see. I'm going to put in, it's on my desktop right now. This. So I'm going to upload that, and then I'm going to come over here to my drop down, and I'm going to select the one that I just added, and it's going to put that image in there. And then we're going to come down here. Now this is new. I mean, this isn't new. This has been here all along, but we're using it now in a new way. So all of our groups, when they're created, will be defaulted to invite only. So that's the fairly standard way that we've operated, where liaisons and teachers will invite mentors, and mentors have to wait until they get an invitation before they can join a group. However, we do have mentors who are really eager to mentor that sometimes don't get invitations for one reason or another. And we are part of our conversation with HubZero involved getting reports together that are going to help us unpack why that happens. But we also wanted to make use of the restriction option as well. So when I set this to restricted, what that means is that the groups you'll go on this group will appear on a list of groups that are seeking mentors right now. And that means that mentors who log into the platform can click on that and they can see that your group is currently seeking mentors and they can apply to be a part of it. You can use this credentials field if you are looking for specific qualities in your mentors. So if, for example, you have a class of students that has a high population of Mexican immigrants, for example, and you're really seeking mentors who can speak Spanish, who kind of understand that culture, you can describe that here in the credentials, and then the mentors that are looking for placement will see that that's something that you're looking for. So that'll help them know if they're a good fit for you or not. Regardless, they can apply. You still have to approve them to be a part of your group. So even setting it restricted doesn't just make it open season and anyone can join. They will hit an apply, and they'll apply to join. You'll get a message, and then you can decide. So this is really a nice thing for everybody. However, it's not required. You can leave it an invite only if that's what you're more comfortable with. The rest of this should remain the same. But as always, whenever you make changes, make sure you click Save Group here at the bottom. You'll see here's our image. It's kind of a strange one. You can see here is that public description with the formatted text. See that Thanksgiving break now shows up here. You can see that the course name that I've changed is here, and we have bullets in our outcomes. So those are all cool things. The other thing I will point out is that up here under galleries for groups seeking mentors, when I look at it, of course, I'll see that I'm a manager of it already, but you can see that now this group is listed here so that mentors can find it. Okay, so just to give you an idea of what else is here, the members list is where, of course, you'll see who else is a member of your group. And we're going to go into this in more detail later. But one thing HubZero did add for us was this all view. So only liaisons and teachers can see this, mentors cannot. But basically what it does is it breaks out all of the people that are currently in some way engaged with your group. So an invitee would be somebody who you've sent an invitation to, but you're waiting for them to respond. They're sitting up here in the invitee prospective members area. Current members are going to be mentors that you've invited that have already accepted. And then the managers are always going to be the teacher, planting science staff members, and your liaison. So it's nicely organized in a way that makes it easy to see who's doing what. The other thing I will point out is that from now on in the members tab, when a mentor has been assigned, it now shows which project they're assigned to on this members tab. So that's really helpful because as you're assigning mentors to groups, it's helpful to know if you've missed somebody or to look and see who's left. So that's why we asked for that. So there's a lot more to talk about here with inviting, but we'll come back to that later. The announcements function is really meant to be used if there's like a very timely message that you need to get out to everybody. So when you use this, the message that you send in the announcement feed will go out to everybody regardless of their email preferences. And so when you click on new announcement, you will type your announcement in here. You can format it if you want to. And then you tell it whether you want it to publish right away or you want it to publish like at midnight on a certain day or something like that. When you click email to group members, mark it as high priority, those will send it out no matter what. So it's really important that you use your announcements judiciously, and it will make it a banner on the top of the group page when somebody logs in so that they'll see it right away. And it will also, again, email it out to them as well. The ways that I've seen most people use this is, for example, snow days. You were expecting to be in school's been called off, you needed to let everyone know. Some teachers do use this as like a weekly, hey, everyone, here's what's going on kind of a thing, especially if they feel like their mentors aren't really using the forum very well. But we kind of discourage that just because it can get kind of spammy for your members. So this is a great place to post sudden announcements that need to go out in a timely way. Once you've sent it out, you can come here to announcements tab and all the announcements will be listed here. Right now there are none, so there are no results found. You do have a calendar at your disposal. It's an older model of a calendar, so there's some clumsiness to it, but some teachers do like to go ahead and put in like their start date, their end date. This does not happen automatically. It's something you would have to do on your own. You're welcome to play with it. There are ways to import and export calendars. I have found that that's a little bit clumsy because again, this is an older bit of programming that doesn't always play nice with some of the newer calendar applications out there. But it is a nice way to let people kind of know what to expect. So feel free to use it if you'd like. Um, the forum is going to be where you're going to communicate back and forth. And here's something else that's new. Teachers and liaisons now have a separate forum from the mentors. And the only reason for that is just so that they can be discussing questions and concerns that really isn't of general knowledge. And that way they don't have to necessarily go to email for that. They can also just talk about it on the platform site. In addition, there's going to be links that we're going to post now that are related to what goes on in the classroom, and this gives us a place to do that without spamming everybody. So teachers and liaisons will be able to see this. Mentors, you will not. This you will only see the mentor form down here. But this is basically just your fairly typical bulletin board. You will click on it. You can add a new discussion. Once you've added one, if you go back out to all categories, you come up here to navigate back. When you post this, post a message to this, oftentimes it will email everyone that's a member of the group. If you don't want to receive emails every time someone posts something, you can come down here to change your settings and set yourself to a digest or say no. We really recommend that you not just turn off the emails entirely because a lot of those can be very valuable to you. So make sure that, I mean, a digest, a lot of people find that useful, but just make sure you actually read the digest when it comes through. Some groups are really use the forum a lot, some do not. So it really kind of depends on the teacher and the liaison and the group that they've cultivated. But definitely be aware that it's here and make use of it if you can. This is the quickest and easiest way to get a hold of people too. Just be aware that you can't send any private messages through our platform at all. That is by design for everybody's safety because we work with kids. Projects are here. This is where all relationships with students happen. Everything happens here. This is where students get uploaded. There is an updates feed where you can see what's going on, and you can obviously look project by project to see what each team is doing. Again, this is something I'm going to come back to in a different video, but just be aware that this is where students join, not here. You put your students in on the project tab. There is a files repository. This is where, like the logo sits. I haven't seen a lot of teachers or liaisons using this very much. And in fact, I would caution you against like assuming that you could put like worksheets or something in here unless you really wanted to. If you want to throw, classroom related files up there for your group to see, like maybe you want mentors to kind of see what they're working with, that's fine. But just make sure that whatever you put up here does not include any student last names. That's very important. We don't ever want to see student last names like anywhere on the site. First names are fine, nicknames are fine. Finally, there are these two reports. These reports, mentors and liaison or mentors can see, but they can't actually see anything when they click on it. But teachers and liaisons can see this. And the idea here is to give you kind of an at a glance of what's happening inside that project. So for those that are moderating conversations, this is really handy for seeing who's been posting recently and who has not. As you can see up here, there's a little color code. This group right now, I notice that the text is red. That's because nobody's posted in here, so it's definitely not active. This one is all black because posts have been made in this as recently as yesterday. So this group is still very active. This one has stalled out for some reason. The reason why it stalled out can vary. Whether sometimes the students are posting regularly, but the mentor is not. If that's the case, it will turn yellow. If the mentor has been posting, but the students really aren't saying anything, then it will show up as purple. So that gives you an at a glance of like, okay, who do I need to nudge? Is it the students that need to be nudged? Okay, how come you're not posting? Is it the mentor? Okay, we need you to come back. In a pinch, remember the liaison's job may include stepping in because the mentor has stalled out completely and we can't reach them. That can happen sometimes if their schedule changes abruptly and they have to, like go on a field expedition or something. So try to be patient with your mentors if that happens. But the liaison's job is to step in and mentor until they come back. And you can also get more specific with it here. This tells you like basically person by person who's been doing something. So in this case, the teacher's been a little not active. Sure, whatever. I'm logged in as a teacher now. The but that just means nobody's posted anything. So the teacher has not posted to any of the fields. That's why it's yellow. Admin has. That's why it's black. And so every user account in here, including students, will be listed here. It is not the most convenient report to play with, but if you take this bar over and you move it about midway, you can send an email message to the people that are parts of that group. The thing to remember is that student email accounts are not going to be real, because we don't want to use their school email address. We want to protect their privacy. So using this to contact students will not work. You can use this to send a message out to a mentor, but it returns to a support email address. It will not come back to you. So if you do use this, you want to make sure you're not like asking questions like, hey, where are you? What can I do to help? Because they can't respond to you that way. It's much better to use the forum to reach out to people and talk that way. So that's what those are for. These are helpful for moderating and just keeping track of what's going on. You can also export this data for evaluation purposes, teachers, if you want to kind of see what different students have posted. That's handy there. There's also an export here. There's also exports that you can do with the project activity. So if you're using that for evaluation, those are things we'll talk about down the line. So hopefully you found that helpful. As always, if you have any questions about how to use your group page or how to make any changes to it, all you have to do is reach out to me. Up here in Need Help, there is a link right here that will help you send an email to me. You can also text me if something's urgent. And of course, if you ever want to sit down with me and have a conversation about something face to face, I have these support slots available, and you can always pick one of the available slots, and I'm happy to work with you that way. Good luck, and we'll see you in the next video. Thanks.